Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Health and Safety Management, and today is the week 4, and we're going to be discussing induction training of health and safety. The objectives would be viewers would acquaint themselves, or viewer would acquaint him or herself with the UK regulations when it comes to induction training at workplace. Then you will appreciate the essence of induction training. There will be a reminder of the employer's duty and another reminder of the employee's duty, familiarizing ourselves with the methods of induction training. Then, of course, we go to identify the various groups that induction training must be given at workplaces, understand the testing regimes or the evaluation regimes of induction training and its essence, basically. Then you learn the content of what goes into induction training. Then you associate with the 3 levels of information to be delivered. Today is the 21st of September 2024, and the name is Kwame Afaglu. All right, let's zoom straight into action and let's look at it. We take it carefully so that it's a training, so we could understand, but we're going to be very elaborate. But we're not going to be giving you excess information to jam your thoughts up. It's going to be methodical, so we're going to intersperse it with commercials, or what we call the adverts. All right, let's go. So what is induction training? The law states, the law in the UK, that is regulations 1999, states that every employer must give employees that induction training before they are hired or employed, or during the process of employment. Before employment, they must be given an induction training in health and safety. Specifically, there must be one in health and safety. Okay, so it shouldn't be a back-end issue, but it should be an integral part of it. Today we are outside, so we're going to be assessing the environment as well as the risk involved. We look at the environment and you can see that it's relatively safe, though you cannot be too sure, but we've checked all that. All right, so what will be some of that's the regulation aspect of it. There's the law itself, the health and safety law of 1974, that goes ahead to indicate that there must be induction training for every employee at workplace. Besides the regulation of 1999, there is that of 1974, the act itself in the UK. All right, so then what is the essence of induction training? What's the meaning of induction training? Induction means that you are being inducted, you are being introduced into the organization. So what do you need to know? That's induction training. What you need to know about the organization. One of the important things, amongst other important things, is what? That of health and safety. You go to work to be safe. You don't go to hurt yourself, or you don't go to be hurt, then paid, and then use your money to go treating yourself and you go home. Then it's of no use. You go to work to hurt yourself or to kill yourself. When you die at workplace, who benefits? You don't benefit anything. So it has to be safe. Workplace must be arranged in a way that it has to be safe. So this arrangement is where it starts, from being taught. Where the hazards, the risk involved, the controls, such that you don't harm yourself. So the essence of the training is to what? Introduce the would-be worker to a safe work environment. Then the second one is to control the risk at the workplace. The third one is to strengthen the organizational health and safety culture. As well as, induction is the first impression that is created about the organization. So if workers or would-be workers are given the impression that the workplace is safe to work in, machinery is safe and all that, they don't have much of a worry. They'll give off their best, and that's what we expect. Productivity and then profitability is what we expect in all working environments. Let's go to the reminder of the employer's duty. Employers are obliged. It is mandatory that employers deliver what we call induction training to would-be trainees. Must be given that induction training. It's mandatory by the Act of 1974 and then the regulation of 1999 of the UK. Then you go on to look at the risk. It is expected that the employers must identify the risk, the hazards at the workplace. Note it, have accident records. Make sure that they teach or they introduce the would-be workers to the respective risk assessments and identification, the preventive measures and the controls of this risk at the workplace. That is very important. Then it is mandatory as an employer to know that you have to give fire safety procedure training to all your employees before they start work, and that comes under Order 21 of Article 21 rather of Order 205 of the UK regulations. Okay. Then there must also be periodic information dissemination to employers, the employees rather. The employer must make sure that he gives periodic risk information or health and safety information to employees. And employees here, we are talking of the main employees, we are talking of the agency staff, we are talking of the contractors, we are talking of subcontractors, and then fixed term contractors. Those are all part of the circle of employees that the employer is responsible for when it comes to their health and safety. What about the health and safety requirements on or the duty of employees? Employees are to ensure that they act safely at workplace. Let's take a break and back, please.
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze.
Okay, just a reminder of the employees' duty of care. Employees are to ensure that they act safely, not to endanger themselves, endanger other colleagues. They need to follow, the second bit is that they need to follow the instructions given them at induction carefully and methodically so that they stay safe. The third bit is that they have to follow the instructions given by the during the induction training when it comes to use of equipments, and then read instructions of equipment before they use. They must ensure they read instructions of equipment, how it's used before they use them. Other than that, they think that they know how they've used it before in company A, so if they get to company B, they can use it. It's not right. It is not right. You have to follow the instructions. Okay. Then who are those supposed to take induction training? All would be employees, newly hires, and then anyone who is already in the organization and going to a new site or using a new equipment or going to a new department must be given that induction training, because there are hazards in this new site that they may not have been familiar with. This video is meant for everyone to benefit from, because anyone who is working must know the health and safety of workplace, and then they can transfer it to even health and safety at home, because the first part of health and safety at home is what? Housekeeping. Housekeeping is the first point of health and safety, but they don't normally tell you, but you have to carry out housekeeping first thing in the morning and last thing before you go. Housekeeping must be done. All right, so then let's go to the methods of training. We'll discuss it a bit elaborately. One is the lectures and discussions. 2 is the tours. 3, video DVDs. Then 4, computer-based training. Then we have the documents and literature. All right, let's take it one after the other. Lectures and discussions. We know lectures are formal, that you're delivering a talk, and the recipients during the induction training take the information, ask questions, and expect responses. When delivering lectures, do not use too many jargons. Communication must be straight and simple so anyone can understand. The moment it's complex, it makes it difficult for the trainees or the would-be employees or the already existing staff who are moving to new departments or new sites to comprehend. Comprehension is a mandatory act. It should be made possible in a straight and simple manner, straight, short, and sweet manner. All right, that's training. That's lectures, and discussions are informal, that you discuss, you ask questions, you discuss issues, and then you understand. That also improves in that induction session. When we go to tours, mind you, you could test the trainees on what you have taught under lectures and all other methods. The other method is tour, going on the field, walking about, showing them exactly what is to be done. It's important. It's very important, because that way they learn hands-on, what we call kinesthetics, and they learn visually. Kinesthetics, hands-on. So they get to know what the hazards are and where the risks are, what happens, what are the controls, what do you do to prevent. They see the yellow markings, they understand the blue signs, and they understand all that. When you go to videos and DVDs, they're also very important, especially when it's used remotely. Videos and DVDs are of company organization specific health and safety DVDs that has been recorded, and when played you can see it exactly as it should be. You see the health and safety, you see the hazards at the workplace, you see the whole procedure carefully as it should be, and that is very important when you're using the videos. And videos you can play back at any time. It has the advantage of playing back at any time and then using it, especially when it's on social media, as I'm doing. This is also a recorded version that you keep for yourself and can be shared on social media, or so then you can play at any time and capture with the learning. What about computer-based training? Of course, there are computer-based training now, which has been around for a while now. There are lectures given, and then there are tests that comes with it. With a computer-based training, you interact with the computer, though it's inanimate, but it's quite very good, very, very good. We go to documents and literature. Make sure that the paperwork given during training is not cumbersome. It's not written in complex language. If it's written in complex language, it loses its essence. It loses its essence completely, because understanding is difficult and you pass loads of paper and there's information overload. Nobody reads information overload. Nobody reads information overload. So literatures must be made simple, leaflets must be distributed, and the leaflets must be straight and simple to the point. You see, make the bullet points straight and simple, straight to the point. Don't go writing novels out of health and safety manuals or out of health and safety documents or leaflets. Be specific. Cut out the facts, the narratives. Go straight to the point and let it be understandable. Let the comprehension, that's one important aspect. Which are the various groups? Like I told you, those who go through this course, the main employees, the contractors, the agency staff, fixed-term workers. What happens to the main employees? You give them full induction training. Agency staff, the same full induction training, so they familiarize with the workplace because they are agency staff. And they need to know the health and safety at the workplace. Health and safety induction training must not be a back-end introduction into the package of health and safety, into the induction training itself. It must be an integral part of the induction training to any new employees or existing employees who are going to other departments or other sites. All right. Let's go to understanding this. When you deliver a lecture, you could carry out an evaluation using multiple choice questions. It's good. You can use the multiple choice questions for computer-based training, and it comes out with certain evaluation. It comes out with assessment, and you know whether the person has understood the training or otherwise. You could have a simple and short. Another way, you could have a simple and short responses. Simple responses, short ones, not essay types, to find out whether what was taught during the induction training has been understood by the trainees or by the new employees. All right. Then you could go for computer-based testing, which is also good. Supervision is another one. Supervisors can watch newly hires or those already working moved into different departments as to whether they have understood the induction training when it comes to health and safety. If they have not, they just take them back for retraining, and that's very simple, and then they get back to work for the induction retraining, and they get back to work. That way they minimize all the risk to themselves, the harm they could cause themselves and others in particular. Okay, let's look at the content of induction. Let's take a break and then we'll look at that last bit, please.
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondo.
Here we are back after the advert. Please don't forget, make sure that if you watch this video and you do not understand, send the questions, or you have questions, send it to the email, WhatsApp, or on YouTube, Facebook, as you have seen on the screen. The pointers or the addresses or the ID of email IDs and WhatsApp numbers are all on the screen, as you would have seen. Okay, then let's go to the contents of induction training. And that content of induction training, it has to be simplistic, like I've said, to avoid complex deliveries. Real life hazards must be shown. Then piecemeal delivery. You know, you don't do everything in a day. Yes, it's true, if it's low risk, like an office job, you can do that in few hours and on site. But if it's high risk, you have to break it down to maybe weeks, for some weeks, and then repeat it some other time again, so that the learning would have been complete and better understood. Okay, so that's piecemeal approach. Then you can look at the safety training in terms of integrated aspect. Make sure that the health and safety training is an integral part of the induction training, the general induction training for any new employee. It shouldn't be a back end, like I've said this about a third time. Back end is where you have finished everything and you just add the health and safety as add-on, say surplus. When that happens, it doesn't seem to have its value. During that training, There must be a senior manager seated in there. All right, health and safety induction training. Okay, so we have 3 levels. That's the level 1, level 2, and level 3 of those who are to take the content. Okay, so level 1 has got to be the general information of health and safety. Level 2 has got local health and safety information. Level 3 has got to be the job specific. Okay, so let's go to the first level. That's level 1. General information on health and safety. A trainee must give details of the health and safety policy or statement at the workplace, and it has to ensure, the trainer must ensure that the trainees have gotten the policy statement of the organization when it comes to health and safety. General safety requirements of the organization must be taught. Besides the policy, the general safety requirements must be taught. Say drug use, alcohol use, smoke use. There must be smoke areas. They must be taught what smoke areas are, where they can go instead of smoking to cause a lot of secondhand smoking and ill health conditions. So that must be well identified. Unfortunately, in Ghana, a lot of people don't smoke. So when they work, there's little smoking in Ghana. But in other countries that I know, that you also know, they smoke a lot. So there must be smoke areas for them to step into smoke or step in there to smoke, so that they don't cause secondhand smoking for non-smokers. All right. Then the other bit is that the whole health and safety management must be taught. For general information, the whole health and safety management process must be taught, and they must know who their health and safety wardens are, first aiders are. You have to explain to the employees what their duty of care is. Okay, that's general information. Then we go to level 2, that's the local health and safety information. Has to ensure, which is part of the content of the training, the induction training, has to ensure that you teach them fire extinguishers and fire escape routes. You teach them emergency procedures. Very important. Then you have to let them know of the first aid issues, the first aiders, and what first aid means. You have to make them be aware of the accident records, where and how they can access those records and what they should report. All right. Then the welfare, water, and food circumstances must be known. Then we go to details of safety reps. You have to give them, if it's a story building, every floor must have a health and safety leader or first aiders, or a team of them. Okay, let's go to the level 3. That's job specific. In terms of the content, explain the hazards involved, identify the hazards, and let them see. Let the trainees at the induction training see what exactly are the hazards at the workplace. In his or her department, he has to be sent there to see for himself and know what are the controls, what are the preventive measures. They are important. Equipment, how they use them, the content, the literature they have to read, and they have to be taught to be familiarized themselves with. Using handheld equipment, the vibration, using electric hammers on roads and all that stuff has to be taught. Okay, any other hazard must be explained to them, to their trainees. This brings us an end to health and safety induction training. Though there's a lot more which I have missed, but with time you capture them in other series. If you have any question, do not hesitate to post them. The name is H. Kwame Afaglo. Thank you.